The human shadow. The council chamber was darker now. Its lights dimmed after the transmission ended. The words, "Evacuate," immediately still glowed faintly on the walls, like scars that would never fade. No one spoke for a long time. The silence was heavy, pressing down on every chest. The greatest empire in the galaxy had just admitted its weakness, not in battle, but in fear. Finally, one counselor broke the silence. His voice was low, almost a whisper. What happens if humans come? Here, the question hung in the air like a blade. Some shifted uncomfortably. Others avoided his eyes. Not one had an answer. The commander who had brought the reports clenched his fists. He had seen the recordings, the battles, the rescues. He had seen humans refusing to die when others would fall. He had seen them saving enemies when others would abandon. He shook his head slowly. If they come, then there will be no orders left to give. A young officer's voice trembled. We left their world behind, but can we ever escape them? A storm moves where it wants. The elder with the cane tapped it once against the crystal floor. His golden eyes burned like embers. You cannot escape a shadow that follows light. Humanity will not chase us, but their name will reach us before they do. Every system, every colony, every council hall will whisper it. We will hear it in our sleep. We will fear it in our bones. The counselors lowered their heads, some in shame, others in dread. Across the galaxy, evacuation continued. Warships fled, stations powered down, colonies went dark. Everywhere, the order spread, the same feeling followed, the shadow of Earth. And yet on Earth itself, humanity carried on. The people who planted crops, built homes, and looked at the stars had no idea how far their legend had traveled. They did not know that entire fleets had turned away, entire empires had chosen silence. But the aliens knew, and fear carved itself into their history. The camera lingered on the last glowing document lying on the council's table. Its red letters burned across the screen one final time. Evacuate immediately. The narration faded like a whisper of prophecy. Across the galaxy, countless species feared the fire of war, but only one word followed humanity wherever they walked: inevitable. The human factor. The council chamber was still heavy with silence after the elder's words. The glowing red seals burned across every report, each one repeating the same command: evacuate immediately. But then, a younger counselor stood. His hands shook as he opened a different file, one that had been buried deeper than the rest. There is more, he whispered. The file opened. A recording appeared, not of battle, but of rescue. A human ship floated above a burning alien vessel. The enemy crew screamed as fire tore through the halls. Explosions rattled the hull. The ship was lost, yet the human captain did not retreat. We can't save them all, a voice shouted from the human bridge. We'll try anyway, the captain answered. The video showed human crew members rushing into the fire, dragging alien survivors out one by one. Their own ship shook from the damage, alarms blaring, but still they stayed. Gasps spread through the chamber. The counselors leaned closer, their golden eyes wide. Why? One whispered. Why would they save enemies? The commander's face darkened. He too could not understand. Another file played. This one showed a battlefield after victory. Alien soldiers lay injured on the ground. The human soldiers, bloodied and exhausted, could have left them to die. But instead, they carried them to safety. They shared water. They treated wounds. The council chamber filled with confusion. They fight without fear, an officer muttered. And yet, they heal without hate. The young officer, who had followed the commander into the chamber, stepped forward again. His voice was quiet but firm. This is their true weapon. Not just strength, not just war, but this. He pointed to the screen. They choose to care, even when they should not. The older counselors shook their heads. No, this makes them weak. But the elder with the cane struck the floor hard, his voice echoing. No, this makes them terrifying. Mercy makes them unpredictable. You cannot control a species that shows compassion to its enemy one moment and destroys fleets the next. They are both storm and shelter. The younger counselor's voice shook. If they can fight like monsters and save like saints, what are they? No one answered. The chamber grew colder. The counselors looked again at the red words stamped across every page. Evacuate immediately. For the first time, the leaders of the Empire understood why the order had come. It wasn't only the humans' weapons, it wasn't only their resilience, it was their hearts. Humans were dangerous not because they destroyed, but because they refused to stop fighting, whether to protect themselves or to protect others. The commander closed his eyes, the truth sinking deeper. They don't fight because they love war. They fight because they refuse to be erased. And when they protect even their enemies, it means they are stronger than anything we know. A shiver spread across the chamber. The fear was no longer only of human strength. It was fear of human compassion, something the alien empire had never understood and could never match. The elder's voice, heavy and final, ended the debate. This is why every page says the same thing. Do not fight them. Do not test them. Do not stay near them. Run. And for once, no one argued. The last warning. The council chamber was still echoing with the elder's final words when the main comms. System activated. A deep alarm filled the air, louder than before, shaking the crystal walls. The blue light across the tables turned blood red. A new transmission forced its way onto every screen. The seal of high command appeared again, brighter, harsher, impossible to ignore. The system voice echoed through the chamber. Final directive. All fleets withdraw from Earth's sector. Do not engage. Repeat. Do not engage. Evacuate immediately. These words were repeated in every language of the Empire, spreading like fire through the stars. Across ships, colonies, and stations, the same order appeared at the same time. In the chamber, the counselors froze. Some covered their faces with trembling hands. Others stared blankly, as if their minds could not accept what they were hearing. The commander whispered, his voice almost broken. The Empire has never issued a command like this, not once in all history. Screens across the walls flickered to life, showing glimpses of fleets already in retreat. Warships turned away from their posts near Earth, their engines burning, at full power as they fled into deep space. Colonies were shutting down, mining stations abandoned, cargo convoys leaving half full just to escape faster. The younger officer stared, wide-eyed. It has begun. The Empire is running. But the images only grew darker. On one screen, a commander of another fleet appeared. His face was pale, his voice frantic. We lost contact with another patrol. They went in to confirm the order, and they never came back. The humans are awake. We must go. Now. The feed cut out. A wave of cold silence spread across the council. Even the loudest voices who had once called humans weak said nothing now. The elder with the cane stood again, his eyes glowing faintly in the red light. Do you see? It is not only fear. It is survival. They are no longer a question. They are a warning. If you stay, you will vanish. If you leave, you may live. The counselors bowed their heads. For the first time, the rulers of the galaxy accepted a truth none of them wanted to face. The younger counselor whispered almost to himself, "The humans, they don't even know we are running, do they?" The commander looked at him. His face was grim. They don't need to know. Their existence is enough to scatter us. All around the galaxy, the order spread further. Fleets turned, colonies emptied. Entire star systems went quiet as the Empire pulled back from the region of space humans called home. And in the middle of it all, Earth spun silently, unaware of the storm it had caused. The last warning echoed one more time through the chamber, each word a hammer strike in the hearts of the Empire. Do not challenge Earth. Do not remain in their path. Evacuate immediately. The words hung in the air long after the screens went dark, and everyone in the chamber knew This was not only a retreat, it was an admission that the galaxy's strongest empire had finally met something it could not control. The hidden reports, the command chamber was quiet now, but it was not peace. It was the silence of fear. The red words still blinked across the screens. Evacuate immediately. The commander's voice broke the silence. Open the restricted files, he ordered. Officers froze. Restricted files were sealed for a reason, records too dangerous for common officers to read. But no one dared to argue. With trembling hands, one officer placed his palm on the console. The system demanded multiple codes, and one by one, the officers entered them. The chamber lights dimmed. A hidden archive appeared, glowing in red. Across, the top of the files was a warning. Classified, contact with humans. The young officer leaned closer, his golden eyes wide. These are from decades ago. The first file opened. A recording played. An alien captain spoke into the camera, his face pale, his uniform torn. Behind him, alarms screamed. We engaged a human fleet. Their ships are old, weak metal, weak weapons. But they don't stop. They should have surrendered hours ago. They just keep fighting. Even when their ships burn, even when half their crew is gone, The feed ended suddenly in static, the chamber filled with whispers. Another file opened. This one showed ground footage. Alien soldiers in heavy armor advanced through smoke. A ruined city lay ahead. And then, the humans appeared. They wore no armor, only scorched clothes and blood on their faces. Yet they ran forward with fire. In their eyes, wielding weapons scavenged from the battlefield. They did not retreat. They screamed, they fought, they fell, but they always rose again. One alien voice on the recording cracked with fear. They fight like death means nothing. The young officer's heart pounded. He had never seen anything like it. No species fought this way. Others protected themselves first, valued survival above all. But humans? They valued victory more than safety. The commander's jaw tightened as the next file opened. This one was not a battle. It was a rescue. A human ship hovered above a collapsing alien station. Fires burned through the structure. Alien voices screamed for help. The station was doomed, but the human ship stayed. Impossible, one officer whispered. They risked themselves? The recording showed human pilots diving into the flames, pulling out alien survivors, one by one, while their own ship shook and cracked. They lost crew in the fire. They could have escaped, but they stayed until the last alien was saved. The room fell silent again. The young officer whispered the words forming in his mind. They are not only fighters. The commander's golden eyes darkened. No, they are worse. They are fighters who do not fear death, and saviors who do not fear sacrifice. No weapon can crush that. A final file opened. This one was different. A handwritten report, shaky and rushed. The words were burned into the screen. Do not underestimate them, do not provoke them. If they rise together, no empire will survive. If you see their planet, leave. If you hear their footsteps, run. Recommendation: evacuate immediately. Li Chu, commander's hand shook as he closed the file. Around him, the officers were pale, their breathing heavy. The legends were no longer stories. They were reports. The young officer whispered again, voice trembling. They knew, even then. And, still, no one listened. The commander turned toward the glowing red warning on the wall. Every page, every seal, every report said the same. Evacuate. For the first time in his long service, the commander admitted the thought he had buried for years. Humans were not weak. Humans were not primitive. Humans were the storm. And now, that storm was awake, the council's fear. The High Council chamber was built to inspire awe. Its walls were carved from crystal stone, its ceiling painted with the history of their victories. Long tables stretched in a circle, glowing with blue light, where the oldest and most powerful leaders sat. These were the voices of the empire, rulers of fleets, governors of colonies, masters of systems. But tonight, even they looked afraid. The great doors opened, and the commander from the orbiting station stepped inside. His face was pale, his golden eyes heavy with the weight of what he had seen. Behind him, officers carried sealed reports, each marked with the same red warning. The council chamber fell silent as he placed the files on the central table. One by one, the counselors reached forward, their hands trembling as they scanned. The pages, every page carried the same words: "Evacuate immediately." Gasps broke the silence. An elder counselor, his skin dark and lined with age, slammed his fist down. "This cannot be. Earth is a weak planet. Their people fight each other more than they fight anyone else. Why would we, the greatest empire in the galaxy, run from them?" Another counselor raised her voice, sharp and bitter. "Weak? Did you not see the reports? Entire fleets gone, colonies erased, and these were not attacks from numbers. They were attacked by humans who refused to fall, even when outmatched. Tell me, Elder, do you still call them weak?" The chamber filled with arguments. Some shouted that the reports were lies, that fear had spread like poison. Others demanded retreat, saying the order was already sealed. The eldest counselor, who had been silent, finally spoke. His voice was low, but it carried through the chamber like a blade of ice. "You are all fools. We should not be debating. We should be running." All eyes turned to him. He rose slowly, his tall frame casting a long shadow across the glowing table. "You forget what humans are. They are not like us. They are not like anyone. When we break, we surrender. When they break, they rebuild. When we bleed, we fall. When they bleed, they fight harder. Do you not understand? Their weakness is their greatest weapon, because no matter how much you destroy, they will not stop." The chamber went silent. The young officer who had followed the commander stepped forward. His voice trembled as he spoke. "The files, they also show another truth. Humans are not only fighters, they are saviors. They saved enemies from burning stations. They risked their lives for strangers. They confuse us." A murmur spread through the chamber. Mercy and brutality, two sides of the same species. No other race in the galaxy fought like that. No other race forgave like that. The elder slammed his cane against the floor. "This is why they must be feared. You cannot understand them and you cannot control them. That is why the order is simple: evacuate and never return." One counselor shook his head, fear creeping into his golden eyes. "If we run, we admit we are weaker." The elder's voice rose, trembling but strong. "We are weaker. You do not survive the storm by fighting it. You survive by leaving its path. Humans are not a people. They are a storm. And if we stay near Earth, the storm will consume us." The words struck the chamber like thunder. Silence followed. No one argued. No one denied. The commander bowed his head. The decision had already been made, long before this council met. The seal of high command was final. Across the chamber, every counselor looked at the glowing red words: "Evacuate immediately." For the first time in their empire's long history, the rulers of the galaxy were not planning war. They were planning escape. The signal from Earth. The alien command center floated like a crown in orbit above their homeworld. Its glass walls looked out into the endless stars, and inside, the halls were filled with order and calm. Officers in dark uniforms worked quietly, their glowing screens showing fleet movements and distant colonies. For centuries, they had believed themselves untouchable, strongest empire in the galaxy. But tonight, everything changed. A sharp alarm rang through the chamber. Red lights pulsed against the walls. Every officer turned at once as a new signal came in. At first, they thought it was routine intelligence, another report from a scout ship near Earth's system. Priority transmission received. The system announced in its cold, metallic voice. An officer stepped forward, his blue fingers trembling slightly as he touched the glowing panel. The message unfolded across the screen. Lines of alien text scrolled quickly before freezing on a single phrase. "Every page, every line carried the same order. Evacuate immediately. The officer's mouth went dry. He blinked, rubbed his eyes, but the words did not change. His voice cracked as he spoke. This cannot be correct. The room grew heavy with silence. Dozens of eyes turned toward the glowing screen. The words burned into their minds. Evacuate immediately. Not prepare, not defend, not fight. Only one command, run. Another officer stood, his horns stiff with fear. It must be an error. Earth is nothing, a primitive world. Their people are weak, divided. Why would the command order evacuation from them? No one answered. In the corner, a young officer whispered, "But this is the High Command seal. This order came from the top." His hands shook as he tried to hide the paper-thin screen. It is real. The senior commander, a tall alien with dark skin and sharp golden eyes, stepped forward. He snatched the document, scanning the words. His face hardened, but even he could not hide the tremor in his voice. Every page says the same. Evacuate. Evacuate Earth's sector. Do not resist. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some officers argued that it was madness. Others whispered old stories. Strange rumors about humans, about their survival, about their strange strength. Maybe they discovered new weapons, one officer muttered. Or maybe, another whispered, maybe the legends are true. The young officer's heart pounded. Legends. He had heard them as a child. Stories of humans who survived storms that could kill other species. Humans who fought wars against impossible odds. Humans who rebuilt cities even after they were burned to ash. But he never believed them. They were myths, fairy tales told to frighten cadets. Yet now, staring at the glowing words, he felt a cold truth crawling into his chest. The commander's voice rose. We do not panic until we confirm. Bring me the full reports. Every detail about Earth. Now. Data screens lit up across the chamber. Reports began to flow in. Fleet logs, mission transcripts, hidden files long ignored. And again, the same. Red seal appeared on every page, stamping the words in fire. Evacuate immediately. The officers leaned closer, reading fragments of human encounters. Entire patrol fleets gone silent near Earth. Colonies erased without warning. Ships reporting that humans fought with strange endurance, refusing to surrender even when outnumbered. One file showed a recording. A single human ship, small and fragile compared to alien warcraft, charging into battle against 10 cruisers. The image shook as alien voices shouted in fear, and then the feed ended, cut to black. The lone human ship had survived. The alien fleet had not. Gasps filled the chamber. The commander slammed his hand against the panel, his voice sharp. Enough. We will not be ruled by fear. But his eyes betrayed him. Behind his anger, there was terror. The young officer clutched the small screen in his hands, whispering to himself, "Evacuate immediately." He repeated the words again and again, each time heavier, each time colder. The chamber lights flickered as another message arrived, direct from High Command. The system voice rang out louder than before, echoing through every wall. Directive confirmed. All fleets withdraw from Earth's system. Do not engage. Repeat, do not engage. Evacuate immediately. No one moved. The silence was unbearable. The strongest empire in the galaxy, afraid of one small world. The young officer lifted his eyes toward the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, the planet they once mocked, the planet they believed weak. But now, the word spread across every fleet, every station, every colony. Evacuate. Something was happening on Earth, something the aliens had never expected, and this was only the beginning. The confused officers. The red warning sign still glowed across every screen. The words "evacuate immediately" flashed again and again as if the system itself was panicking. Inside the alien command chamber, silence broke into chaos. Officers shouted over each other, their calm training forgotten. Some slammed their hands. on the consoles demanding answers. Others whispered in low voices, afraid that speaking too loudly would make the message more real. "This is wrong," one officer cried, his sharp horns trembling. "Humans are weak. They still burn fuel to fly. They still fight each other. They cannot scare us." Another officer spun in his chair, his long fingers gripping the console tightly. "Then explain the fleets," he shouted back. "Explain why 3 patrol groups near their planet have gone. Dark. No messages. No survivors. Nothing but silence." The words hung in the air like a blade. Silence. Whole fleets erased as if they never existed. A younger officer shook his head quickly. "It must be a storm, a black hole, a natural event." His voice cracked. "It cannot be humans." The commander's golden eyes narrowed. He had seen storms. He had seen disasters. None of them ever forced the high command to issue the same order on every page, every document, every channel. "Evacuate immediately." "Show me the last transmissions," he demanded. Screens lit up with fragments. A patrol captain's face appeared, his voice filled with static. "We are under attack. Small human crafts, impossible speed, impossible fire." The feed cut off. Another recording showed a cruiser shaking violently. Alarms blared. The crew shouted, fear rising. A human ship appeared on the screen, small, old, patched together, but it moved like fire through darkness. The recording ended with a single scream. Gasps filled the chamber. Officers stepped back, their faces pale. "This is not possible," whispered one of the older staff. "They should not be able to do this. Not to us." But the reports kept coming. More files, more losses. Entire colonies near Earth had gone silent. Mining outposts abandoned. Cargo ships lost without trace. Each report carried the same final line. "Recommend immediate retreat." One officer slammed his fist down. "No, this is fear talking. We cannot let myths control us." He turned, pointing toward the younger officers. "They are only humans. They bleed like us. They break like us. This must be a trick, a trap. Someone wants us to run." But even as he spoke, his voice shook. His hands trembled against the table. The younger officer in the corner clutched his tablet tightly. His voice was barely a whisper. "If it is a trap, why are we the ones disappearing, not them?" Every head turned. The words cut through the noise. The truth no one wanted to say was now in the open. The commander growled, but his throat was dry. He wanted to believe humans were nothing. He wanted to believe their empire was safe. But the evidence on the screens told another story. He closed his eyes for a moment, remembering the old legends. Stories of humans surviving fires, wars, disasters no species should live through. Tales told as warnings. Do not corner a human. Do not mistake their weakness for defeat. When he opened his eyes, he saw fear in every officer around him. Some tried to deny it, but none could hide the trembling in their voices, the sweat on their skin, the way their golden eyes darted toward the exits. "Enough," the commander said finally, his voice heavy. "We will not decide this with shouting. We will bring this to the council. Until then, hold your posts." But the order felt weak. Even he could hear it. The chamber fell into uneasy silence. Officers returned to their stations, but none of them worked with the same focus. Whispers spread like fire. Every officer who looked at the glowing words on the screens, "Evacuate immediately," felt a cold truth settling into their bones. The strongest empire in the galaxy was afraid. Not of storms, not of nature, not of gods. They were afraid of Earth.